Good. Wow, good whatever time you're listening to this or watching this, guys. This is another episode of Hunt for Bronze, but this one's going to be a bit different. I went up to Mondi last weekend, weekend of the full moon, and, well, second trip up there in about a month, and, yeah, didn't do so well. Dropped 2 barra, but over the past 2 trips, I've been piecing together the puzzle about how I pull apart a barra dam. Now, by no stretch of the imagination am I an expert in barra fishing. You know, I've dabbled in it from time to time, spent a fair bit of time at Timbara, Kinchin, and in years past I've spent a lot of time at Mondi as well. But I'm talking about back in the day where it was I think I went one year and it was at like 20% just before the Queensland floods in 2011 came through. And then after that, I fished it a few times there. So Mondi's kind of a place quite near and dear to my heart, but it's also very much, to my knowledge, a place that can be tough fishing, especially now with the boom of bony brim that's in there. I could not tell you how much bait I saw in there. It was ridiculous, especially considering there is also now no weed. Back in 2012, 13, 14, weed and weed walls were the go-to. You'd go there, you'd throw a jerk bait or a plastic along those, and you'd catch fish. No big ones, but you'd catch fish. Anyway, I'm digressing. So what you're going to see in this video is you're pretty much going to see how I personally broke down and fished Mondi. And I'm going to cut in and out of action footage to bring you guys back here to a whiteboard, and we're going to whiteboard out what I was looking for and why I was fishing in some of those places. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy this until the first fish dropped.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Hunt for Bronze. I am back at Mondi. Last time I was here, I filmed all week, donated. So now I'm back for vengeance. I got here very early this morning at a ripe old time of 12 a.m. Got on the water, launched the boat, put everything on, came here. By the time I got to bed, it was like 2:30 in the morning, and it's now 5, so I am wrecked. I slept on the boat. There's my swag. But I got to the spot I want about, and I'm good to fish now. So what we're going to do is we're going to fish the prime bite period. I'll have about a midday kip, and then we'll crack on. I'm excited. Full moon, barra. Let's do it. Yeah, that's a barra. That's a barra. And he's off. Just seeing a barra on the sounder here, and I'm wondering if that's the one that I just dropped, because that's the direction he ran, and he could just be sulking there. That hurt. Very, very much hurt, that one. Anyway, I just had a kip. Because I only had 2 hours sleep last night, and I thought it'd be a great idea to get some Z's in, or during a period of the day which I thought may not have been as conducive for a fish.
Alright, so as you guys saw, yeah, I dropped that first barra. That was an interesting fish. That was one that I was just not going to land. It was probably a gap in the trees, no wider than 1 metre. He hooked up coming towards me. All he had to do was veer slightly to my right, go around a tree, and then shoot back towards the boat. I had no hope. But that was caught on this Pontoon 21 Greedy Guts. I love this lure. This colour's awesome. It imitates those bonies really well. The sound in it casts a mile because of the shifting weight, and when you just kick it and twitch it, it really just kicks out side to side and hangs in their face. I have upgraded it. I've put on heavier trebles, so size 2 decoy wide W77s, and that's because the barrel will just open up the trebles that are on there. Anyway, this is the scenario I was in. So it was about 9 o'clock in the morning. The first few spots I've been to didn't hold fish like they did last trip. I think the wind was swinging a bit more in the week prior compared to when I was there last time. So the fish didn't really hold in a certain area. But where I did find them, the wind, I found this one fish and a few others on the sounder, the wind was actually blowing perpendicular to the point. So what I mean here is, if you have a look at this, you've got wind and current blowing across a point and the point sticking out. So essentially, current was blowing over the point, making it a perfect ambush spot for predators. I'd cast in, as you can see by this arrow, up into the treed area, which is all the green dots, and that's where I hooked my fish. But this was a long, slow, tapered bank, so it wasn't deep. I think I was sitting about 8 to 12 foot of water, and I was fishing probably about 6 to 10 foot. So not that deep, and yeah, so the wind blowing over it, and I found fish on the sounder. Now, this was almost like a resident fish, but also the fact that I saw 4 or 5 other barra in the area at the time probably meant that there were fish moving up into this area and feeding. Unfortunately, though, I dropped that fish, and yeah, now we're here, me talking you through this because I couldn't show you any fish captures. But that's what I was looking for. I was looking for wind blowing across a point, creating current, and somewhere where barra could ambush fish. Pretty simple, and what you got to do is you break down your dam. You look at which way the wind's coming from, and you look at where the most wind is going to go over points or bays or into areas where fish can, or where bait fish will push to where predatory fish will live. Anyway, we'll go on to the next fish, and I'll talk through that, and then I'll kind of give an overall look at how I broke down the dam and how I ended up finding the fish I found.
Yep, oh, that's about. Gotta get this, gotta get this. Oh, that's a good fish. That's a good fish. I gotta get round that tree. Gotta get round that tree, holy. I mean, let's chase this. Oh, that's a good fish. Oh, that's a good fish. Oh, that's a really good fish. Oh, there he is. He's out, he's out. Oh, that's a good fish. That's a real good fish. No! All right, so we're starting this again. Same spot as before. Now the reason I'm here is because winds just started blowing over this point. Yeah, wind started blowing on this point and I decided that that is a sign to fish here. And as you just saw, me losing that big barra. So yeah, it's all right. We'll get the next one. Stay here for a little bit longer. Hopefully a few more fish come through and make it happen. The only thing was I made the decision to leave the split rings on here, which was my own silly fault. Should have changed them to heavier split rings, but I just wanted this lure to suspend perfectly, or a lot better. So I've got one heavy split ring on, one light split ring, so I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Don't have a heap of faith, but hey, we'll lose another fish. What's another fish? Alright, so we've got a couple of windblown points here we're giving a go. Yeah, I haven't seen, like last time I saw a lot of fish, like a lot of fish. This time I'm seeing nowhere near the consistency of fish. But again, this time I've now hooked up to 2 fish, including a pretty bloody good one. Coming close to that 90 centimetre model. So yeah. And now we've got kind of an hour and a half left of light, maybe a little bit longer. And a moonrise coming up, so hopefully things turn on when they should. I just don't know if I should be here or where I saw fish earlier today, but where I saw fish earlier today, mind you, is now not in this wind. Well, it is, but it's not as much. That was a fish. Alright, I was pretty devo about that second fish. Yeah, that kind of hurt. It was terminal failure, plus the knot bit on my
on my rope around the tree, which I've now bought a carabiner so I can quickly clip and unclip from trees. Yeah, so they're not bit. Couldn't untie myself enough time to go around the tree, and then by the time I got around there was enough pressure and rotational force on that split ring that it ended up opening up, which really sucked. But it is what it is, and sometimes you just can't help that when you barra fish. But that spot it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I had wind blowing from both ends of the dam, because the area I was at was a corner. So essentially the dam, the dam kind of did that into a bay with the island, which you can see here. So the wind was coming from this direction and this direction here. So what that meant was I had current from 2 arms of the dam being pushed into this bay in the island, which is why I targeted the area. So as you can see here by the red arrows, it's about how the wind was hitting this area. This was an island, the coloured area was the land, and the others are kind of the contour lines of the point. Where I was sitting at, I was still only in probably about 10 foot of water if I was lucky, but about 30 metres to the other side of me was 40 foot. So this was a great area to be targeting barra as I cycled up to feed. And I think it was like my second cast after tying off that I managed to hook this fish. And it was, as you saw, twitch, twitch, pause, twitch, bang, and I was on. It didn't take much time at all. But yeah, a bit of sustained wind. There was probably wind blowing in this area for about 2 to 3 hours. Although not heaps, enough to start blowing some sort of the biomass in this direction. And it was the only bit of sustained wind we saw all night. Now, I could show you a day 2, but day 2 would just see you guys with muffled sound on the GoPro, because it bucketed down all morning. Could not find any fish until I moved back towards the main basin. Found a few fish, but that was it. It wasn't really anything special. Got no other bites. Barely any, any caddies were caught this day as well, whereas the day prior I caught a heap of caddies. So that's it. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this really quick, rough breakdown of fishing Bondi Dam and kind of the areas to look at in Barra Dam. So, those being areas I tend to like to look at are points like this, where you have a slow taper but near deep water. If you can find wind blowing onto that point, also a great thing to look for. You put those together, tie off, have a few casts, turn your electric off and have your side scan on, and you can often tell if there's going to be fish in the area. You'll see them moving through on side scan because they are a bigger fish, and you'll see their shadow going through. You've got to play around with your lures too. I was throwing everything from plastics to jerkbaits, and the only thing that consistently got me fish was that greedy guts. Even other jerkbaits and other colours and sizes didn't seem to work. So, to sum it up, you look for 3 things. So first being, you look for the apex of the wind, which is where the most wind is flowing into an area. 2, you look for a good point close to deep water. And 3, that's when you start looking for the fish and the telltale signs, whether it be bait pushing through or those schools of barra swimming through. Once you piece those together, although it seems pretty simple, you can kind of stick in an area or certain areas to keep targeting throughout a weekend or week trip or day trip, however you're going to do it. All you got to do is you just got to focus heavily on these small little things, and you should find fish. I've been wrong before, but yeah, you should find fish. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Please leave a comment or subscribe on the channel. If you've got any more barra tips that you want to share with anyone who watches this video, comment it below. Anyone any little bit helps. Everyone has a different way to approach things. I'm certainly no different. I fish how I like to fish. But yeah, the more help you can get for barra fishing, particularly impoundment barra fishing, because they are finicky fish, unless you fish somewhere like Proserpine and they're always up in the shallows or something like that. Yeah, you often... Oh, and Kinchin as well. Kinchin's pretty similar. You can often find them at Telltale Point when the rain flows in and all this stuff. But, you know, your bigger barra dams like Awonga, Mondi, Tinaroo, Khalid occasionally. Khalid's been fishing quite well though. Team Barra, another difficult one, and the rare barra that's up at Yungala. You know, those more complex barra dams tend to shape up a little bit differently to somewhere like Faust, which is just a prime barra dam, or somewhere like Kinshit, where you can often narrow down the areas you search because of the shape of the dam and the way that everything's laid out there. But that's it. That's all I got. Don't forget to like this video, head over to the socials or check the description down below for any gear I used. Like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you feel like it. Every subscriber helps and gives me a good smile every time I make a video, knowing that more of you guys can see and hopefully learn from my mistakes about how to do certain styles of fishing. So until next time, guys, go out and fish and enjoy yourselves, and I'm out.